It's good to be back with you all. I've missed you all. It's been a very busy month for me, working, getting the hang of things, but we're back. So today on X, we have Senator Dick Durbin. He has proposed a very what seems to be controversial on X right now. It says, first they allowed our country to get flooded with illegals who hate our country, then they will make them join the army, and lastly they will make them U.S. citizens. What do you think about this? I'm going to go ahead and play it for you.
What troubles me about the debate now about the southern border is it is one half of the immigration equation. Yes, we need order at the border. Yes, we need to have changes in the laws that reflect the reality of the overwhelming numbers from all over the world who are coming to our shores and our border. But there is also an incredible demand for legal immigration into this country even now. The presiding officer, my colleague from the state of Illinois, has legislation which addresses one aspect of that. Her bill, and I hope I describe it accurately, says that if you're an undocumented person in this country and you can pass the physical and the required test, background test, the like, you can serve in our military, and if you do it honorably, we will make you citizens of the United States. Do we need that? Do you know what the recruiting numbers are at the Army and the Navy and the
Crickets.
Air Force?
Crickets.
They can't reach their quotas each month. They can't find enough people to join our military forces. And there are those who are undocumented who want the chance to serve and risk their lives for this country. Should we give them the chance?
Absolutely. I think Dick Durbin's on to something with that, and of course, you know, he's going to be attacked for it, but what do you think? Let me know down in the comments below. We also have Charlie Kirk putting this video out, showing of a video out of California shows a group of illegals breaking into the country, comprised of mostly military-aged Chinese men. He says this invasion continues and it is by design. He shouts out News Nations and Ventura Report. We're going to go ahead and give this one a watch as well and tell me what you think. And I imagine this is what Dick Durbin is referring to. And it looks as if we are being invaded. It really does. But, you know, the left, they're not going to say nothing about it. They're not. They're not going to go visit the border and put eyes on this at all. And then we also got Joe Rogan. This one's a bit long, but I think this really speaks to everything going on. This is what this speaks to, and I think he's 100% correct.
No one is going to run against Trump in the Republican side and win, because You're not going to get the Trump supporters.
Exactly.
They are all in on Trump, unless he has a stroke, unless something happens that's horrible. They're all in on Trump. If you run against Trump, you're now the enemy of Trump. If I was friends with DeSantis, I'd be like, don't do it. You can't beat that guy. You just can't.
Might I add, all of MAGA is telling DeSantis not to run.
That guy gets out there and he's waving to people and they're going crazy. You're not beating that. There's a fucking, and the fact that he was the president for 4 years and the country was in a great economic situation, and it looked like his policies were actually effective, and that it looked like the unemployment was down, all business was building, regulations were being relaxed, more things were getting done. You know, when you look at it from a policy perspective, if you just look at it on paper, what he did was effective. A lot of people think it was effective. You don't like him as a personality, so you ignore that. Don't do that. Look at it in terms of a policy perspective. People liked the ideas that he was putting forward. And now you're saying, like, oh, the wall is raised. Now the fucking, everybody thinks there needs to be a wall. Even the mayor of New York City is now calling to stop immigration into his city. And this was the guy that called it for it to be a sanctuary state. When the reality of what your policies, what kind of actions you put forth, what the results of that are, and those results are highly negative, you're forced to sort of recollect. recollect your thoughts, and come up with a new perspective. And that's what the mayor of New York City is doing right now. When you just look at what Trump's policies were, and then obviously COVID hits, there's a lot to that, the lockdowns, the economic collapse, all the shit that came with that. None of that is good. And then Trump holds up this like hope to bring us back to where we were when he was in office. You're not going to beat that. I don't think they're going to beat that. I don't think, when you look at the Russia collusion, when you look at the Steele dossier, when you look at all the bullshit they tried to throw at him that we now know is bullshit, not just bullshit, but coordinated bullshit. When you look at the fact that they suppressed these Hunter Biden laptop story and that 51 intelligence agency representatives signed off on that to say that this was Russian disinformation, which they know is not true. That's scary. Because now you have the intelligence agencies colluding to keep a guy from being president that was president during a time where the country was thriving economically. You're not going to beat that guy.
Would he get your vote?
He'd get my vote before, excuse me, he'd get my vote before Biden. I said that before. I don't think that, I never thought that Biden was going to make it. I never thought that he was going to be functional. You know, like regardless of what kind of power the president actually has. And it appears under Trump, the president has a lot more power than we think they do. But under Biden, it's like he's handled. Like he's just out there talking and saying, the real problem is Donald Trump. Donald Trump, what he's done is terrible. What he did in the office. It's all nonsense. It's like everyone's treating him with kid gloves because they don't want to prop up Trump. They don't want to go after him because it'll weaken the Democratic Party.
Oh, amen. He just, boy, he nailed that on the head. And people are going to smear Joe Rogan for what he just said, but that is the facts. I'm sorry, Vivek Ramaswamy can't even win. And we'll end it with this little nugget, but actually, I don't know if I want to show that. We'll just go to this.
Of democracy, but in fact, they're the ones destroying our democracy. Crooked Joe and his henchmen have tried to shut down free speech with a massive government censorship operation to silence their critics. They're putting Douglas McKay in jail for sharing a joking meme about Hillary Clinton 7 years ago. Nobody ever heard of anything like that. They have 4 bogus criminal cases trying to put their leading political rival, me, in prison. Let's put him in prison. He's leading by a lot. There's no way we can beat him. Let's put him in prison. They're running police state operations to infiltrate the Catholic Church as if it were a communist country. They're persecuting Christians and pro-life activists. They're persecuting anybody they want to persecute. They've labeled ordinary Republicans and parents at school board meetings as potential domestic terrorists. They're resettling millions of migrants into our communities, destroying our country like it's never been destroyed before. They're calling our citizens criminals. They rigged the last election. They rigged the Democrat primary, and they're trying to get their rivals thrown off the ballot everywhere they can. And they're constantly trying to delegitimize the Supreme Court of the United States and threatening conservative judges with violence. In short, nothing about crooked Joe Biden and the anti-democratic party has anything to do with defending democracy. So if Crooked Joe wants to turn this election into a question of which candidate will defend our democracy and freedom, then I say, bring it on. Let's go, Joe, bring it on, because you are a corrupt person. You're the most corrupt president in our history. And by the way, the most incompetent president in our history. Because Americans don't like tyrants, we don't like fascists, we don't like communists, and we don't like crooked Joe Biden. You just have to look at the polls. With your vote on Election Day 2024, America will be a free nation once again. We will be free and we will be great. Thank you.
And that is closing remarks from Trump. And everything he spoke about right there, weaponization of the DOJ to go after Doug Mackey for posting a meme about Hillary Clinton from 2016. Absolutely unheard of. And then you got the invasion at the border. We have this going on, not just at the southern border, but at the northern border as well. And only 2 GOP candidates who are running for office right now, outside of who's going to be the nominee in Donald Trump, is Vivek Ramaswamy and Ron DeSantis that are calling this out. And that's why I like them. But let me know what you think about Dick Durbin and what he said. I really want to get your thoughts on it. Peace.